Messengers. Title of the series is Messengers, and the ultimate messenger is God himself. God understands better than you and I even how effective communication occurs. And he knows that the most effective way to communicate is in person, up close and personal. And so when God wanted to send us a message, he wrapped himself in human form and came to earth in person. And we laid that foundation last week. If you happen to have missed last week's message, you can check it out on our website or on our app. And I encourage you to do that because we're going to start where we left off last week. And that is in regard to the message that God came to bring us. When Jesus showed up in person, what was he trying to communicate? Well, he wanted us to know this, that God loves us. God loves you. He loves me. God loves you. He knows you surprisingly well. He knows you. He likes you, even though he knows you. And he wants to be with you. Did you get rejected? Oh, somebody else got up. Let's give it up for the willing volunteers. Come on, hon. Seriously? All right. My bad. Sorry about that. He does love you, and he wants to be with you. That's the point I was just now making. Okay. He loves you. And because he loves you, he's made a point to know you. There's a Bible verse that says God actually has numbered the hairs on our head. And for most of us, that's a decreasing number. My number's smaller than ever now. But God knows exactly how many hairs fell out in the shower this morning while you were getting ready to come here. And if he knows the intimate details, right down to the finest of details, he knows everything about us like the Bible says that he does, it's to me amazing that he still likes me, right? That knowing all the stuff that he does, he still likes me. See, there's three versions of ourselves that we all have, right? There's the version we want other people to take away. It's that version of ourselves that we present, whether we're doing it deliberately or not. Subconsciously, we're pretty good at kind of maintaining an image. This is who I want you to think I am, right? We do that in the work environment. We do that in relationships, and certainly Christians aren't immune to that. We do that in environments just like this. So there's that version of ourselves. Then there's the version of ourselves we think is who we are. I'm a pretty nice guy, you know what I mean? There's that image that we have. It's like, this is who I am. This is what I believe about myself. Sometimes that's a pretty negative thing. Sometimes it's an arrogant thing. But most of the time, it's not completely accurate. But then there's a third version of ourselves, and that's who we actually are. And God knows all three versions of us. And he still likes us. And he not only likes us, but he wants to have a relationship with us and spend time with us. Now, today we're going to dive a little deeper on this idea that he knows us. What does that really mean? And how, if that's really true, how can the other things also be true? And what we're going to talk about today, literally, will transform your life. If you pay attention, take to heart what we're going to talk about, and internalize it, allow God by his Holy Spirit to help you make application of it. If you will allow him to do a work in you today. Today's message has the potential to transform your relationship with him, your view on life, your view of yourself, and how you relate to the people in your life. And because of all that, it will change your future. So you're going to want to pay attention. But this idea that, we would know one another, that God would know us, that we would want to know him, and how well we know each other is kind of this sort of elusive thing. It's like, how well do you really know someone, right? Every once in a while you read something in the paper or you listen to a newscast or you hear something, gets posted on Facebook and you think, oh my gosh, how did that ever happen? I would have never thought that they would be capable of that. And you think, I didn't know them because they displayed a behavior that I didn't see coming. Or somebody does something really amazing. It's like, I didn't know you had that talent or that ability. And basically what we're saying is, I didn't know you well enough to know that about you. And so we're always in the process of discovery. I am I'm a real slow learner, but I'm in the process of discovery when it comes to things about my wife. After 44 years of marriage, I'm still learning things about her that I should have known 43 years ago. But I'm, little by little picking up on those things. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the doghouse because I wasn't paying attention to the details. I do know this, she loves a Reuben sandwich. Somebody's like, oh, yay. Like, okay, let's just start, come on. No, she just got back from a conference and she had a Reuben, and I knew when she was telling me the story, that's one of your favorite sandwiches right there. There are things we know about one another. You think you know me. But how well do you really know me? Well, let's have a little fun before we go any further. Let's have a little fun with this idea of how well people can know one another in a little game that we're going to play right now. Take a look.
Bring him on in. Are you ready? Excuse me. Do I know you?
All right, good morning. Welcome to Do I Know You? I'm your host, Scott, because I'm wearing the tie. That's what hosts do. And I want you guys, no, don't scooch over. Bobby, Jesse, go ahead and go over there so everybody, you're trying to hide here. We've got our lovely contestants, and we're going to find out how well they do know each other. We got Bobby and Jesse, they're friends. We got Tammy and Jake, mother and son. And then we got Randy and Amy, daughter and mother. So here we go. Do you know each other? Keep your answers a secret from your partner here till we have your reveal. Question number 1. When you guys are meeting at a coffee place, who is going to be late? Go ahead and write your answer down. Who will be the late one when meeting each other for coffee? Go ahead. Bobby was quick. Between the two, Jesse, between the two of you, when you guys meet for coffee. All right. Mom's always late. Bobby? You. All right. You guys know each other. 1,000 points. All right. Tammy, what did you say? Me? Jake said Jake. Oh, you both are late. Oh, okay. That is a little trickier. All right, we'll go to Randy. Randy, what did you say? You said Amy, and Amy said me, and that is correct. All right, 1,000 points for you guys. So, all right, question number 2. All right, this will be for Bobby and Tammy and Randy. All right, so answer according to Bobby, Tammy, and Randy. Where is the last place they traveled to? Where is the last place that Randy traveled to? That would be your answer. Jake, you're writing down where's the last place Tammy traveled to. And Bobby, go ahead and write down the last place you traveled to. Jesse, hopefully your answers will match. We'll start back over here to see how well they know each other. Amy, what did you write down? Montana. Oh, you put your score on your board. Good, 1,000 points. All right. Randy? She wants to win. What did you write? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I wasn't clear. Where was the last place you traveled to? Well, I hope it's Montana. All right, Montana. All right, excellent. Excellent. Did you write down an answer, Tammy? All right, great. Jake, what did you say? Mexico and the Mexico. All right. Jake, did you go on that trip? Oh, wow, that's bonus points. Give yourself 2,000 points on that one for bonus. All right. I'm just making up the points as I go here. Yeah. All right, Jesse, what did you write? Longview. And Bobby, what do we have? Longview. All right, you guys get bonus points. All right, so the score is 2,000, 2,001 because you had a bonus point in 2,000. Yeah, I know. I'm just making it up as I go. All right, this will be a question for the answer based on Jesse and Jake and Amy. What is their favorite flavor of ice cream? Favorite flavor of ice cream? So, Randy, you write down Amy's favorite flavor of ice cream. Jake, write down your favorite flavor of ice cream. Tammy, what is it? Jesse, you go ahead and write down. You're kind of hesitating. Do we eat ice cream? I hope so. If not, we can pray for you about that. All right, she's got something going. We'll start back down here. Let's see, Jesse, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Chocolate. And Bobby, you said chocolate. All right. That's worth another 10,000 points. All right, put your score down. All right, this one's worth 10,000 points. Jake, your favorite flavor of ice cream is Moose Tracks. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, no. Cookies and cream. Ah, it's a bummer. All right, let's see. Randy, what did you write down? Mint chocolate chip, chocolate peanut butter. Looks like you guys all need to go out to ice cream, all right? Go out to ice cream. All right, we'll, this one again, go to the other person. So Bobby, Tammy, and Randy, this is a question based on their answer. What is something that irritates you that the other person does? So, Randy, what's something that irritates you that Amy does? I know it's nothing, but just let's try to make up. Yeah. What is something... Tammy, what is something that Jake does that irritates you? Jake, what are you going to put down? You think your mom's going to say? All right, we'll start with you guys. You done there, Jake? All right, Tammy, what did you say? No homework. Oh, and he put bottle flipping. Yes. It is annoying. There might be a long list there. Yeah, you got to, how well do you know each other? We'll go over here. All right, Jesse, what did you say? Not setting the cruise control. Uh-oh, Bobby, what did you have? Oh, the unsolicited advice. Yes, I think that is on everyone's list. All right, we'll go over here. Randy, what did you put? She doesn't want to say anything. Dishes in her sink. Dishes in her sink. Oh. Okay. Apparently, we have stuff to work on at home. All right. Randy does not want to see any dishes in the sink. And what did you put? Nothing. Oh. I think you lose all of your points. All right. So you're down to 0. Okay. But don't worry. This question, the last question, is worth 1 billion points. So everybody's back in for the win. All right. We'll go with back to the other person. So this is about Randy, Tammy, and Bobby. All right. So answer based on those 3 people. What is a secret talent that you have that not most people know about? What is a secret, Randy, what is a secret talent that you have that not too many people know about? Go ahead and write your answers down. Jake, what's a secret talent that your mom has that not too many people know about? This is a tough one because this is a game, Do I? You guys are a great show audience. That's awesome. Do I know you? Go ahead and write 10 seconds here. Write something down. Go ahead. What is a secret talent that maybe not too many people know about? Looks like Jesse and Bobby are stumped. Go ahead and just kind of, you just got to make up the same thing. Yeah, you got to find something that you can make up. All right. Jake, you got something going there. We got at least something to try. This is for 1 billion points for all of the marbles here to win. All right, you ready? We'll start down here. Amy, what is a secret talent that Randy has that not too many people know about? She has a diagram, a picture, playing glass bottles. Really? I did not know that. Randy, what did you put? Quilting. Oh, did not get the 1 billion points. But now you need to play the glass bottles sometime. All right. Jake, what did you say? Your mom has a secret talent of lifeguarding. Oh, that would have been true, but driving my kids crazy. Just a hunch here. Jake may know that. Yeah, he may know that one. That's one of your secret talents. All right, Jesse, what did you say about Bobby? Scrapbooking. Scrapbooking is crap for 1 billion points. You guys win. All right. Give them a big hand. Do I know you? Good job, guys. Thank you. You go ahead and we're all done.
Scott's a brave man having his wife and his mother-in-law up there playing that game. I think 1.5 billion points to Scott for being a courageous player and good host. And 3 billion points to you who didn't get a chance to play, but you were willing to do so. That's awesome. They're the real winners. Do I know you? I was at the doctor the other day and getting ready. I was checking in and the person said, "How do you spell your last name?" And I thought, well, like most people where I check in at a doctor, they don't know me. And so I started to spell my last name. And then I started to spell my first name, and they said, "Well, I know your first name." It's like, "How do you know my first name?" And they said, "I just started going to your church." It's like, oh, okay. Awkward moment for me because I didn't know them, but they felt like they knew me pretty well. At least well enough to know my first name, but not well enough to know how to spell my last name. So a process of discovery had already begun, but I was unaware of it. You know, when you sit, like you guys do often, and hear someone speak, you feel like you get to know them. And you do. Every time we open our mouths, people learn things about us. But there's so much more to know. Like, did you know that I'm colorblind, that I have red-green color deficiency? Some of you knew that. Someone in this room found that out for the very first time this morning. We were visiting before the gathering got started. Did you know that I actually was, when I went to Bible college, intending to spend my life in Latin America as a missionary to Latin America with the Luis Palau organization. Some of you knew that, some of you didn't. So you see, there's all kinds of things that we have yet to discover about the people in our lives, about the relationships that we have, and that's not any more true with anybody in our life, in any relationship that we have, than it is with God. How much is there about God that we don't yet know? And do we know Him as well as we think we do? There's a book entitled The Jesus I Never Knew. It's an interesting read. It's also the book I never read. I just heard that it was an interesting read, so you could pick that up. But it's all about the idea that we, after a certain point, we think, well, I know them pretty well, and then somewhere out of the blue, we discover something that's like, I guess I didn't know you as well as I thought I did. Well, there's someone who knows us completely, perfectly, surprisingly well. And He is the greatest of all time. He's the messenger. He's God Himself who came in human form to communicate His heart to us. And part of the message that was in His heart that He wanted to communicate to us is that He knows us. And if we begin to start wrapping our head around the fact that He knows us, knows everything about us, knows everything that we think, everything that we feel, when we begin to wrap ourselves around that truth and wrap not only our thought processes around that a little bit, but allow it to impact our heart, it becomes life transforming. So we're going to just jump right into what God's Word has to say about it. And if you were here last week, you may recall that I said we're going to spend this 6-week series partly in the Gospel of John, chapter 4, the account of the story of Jesus' encounter with the woman at the well. And we started and left off at verse 10. We're going to pick it up in verse 11 right now. John chapter 4, verse 11, Jesus is sitting by the well, and he's having a conversation with a Samaritan. Jews normally had nothing to do with Samaritans, nor did most men have much to do with women in public settings. And yet Jesus, a Jew, clearly a Jew, is talking to a woman, a Samaritan, who at this point is in the middle of the day. It's hot out. Jesus is weary from his travel. And she's going to the well at this time of day to avoid all the other people who know her. So she's hiding out. You know how you do when you don't want to run into anybody at Fred Meyer. You go at a time when you think the people that you know don't go there, right? Oh, come on, I'm not the only one in the room who thinks like that, right? Or you don't go to Costco after church because that person might be there that goes to Costco after church, right? Come on. So this woman's avoiding people in her life, so she decides, I'm not going to go when everybody else goes to draw water. When it's cooler, I'm going to go in the heat of the day. Likely nobody will be there. I'll have the well to myself. And lo and behold, she runs into Jesus, who strikes up this conversation. And Jesus has made this provocative statement. He says, the water, he said, if you understood what was going on right now, he said, you'd ask me for water. I just asked you for a drink out of the well because Jesus is thirsty. But he says, if you knew what was going on, you'd ask me for a drink. And the water that I give would quench your thirst so much so that you'd never thirst again. So she's excited about the idea, and yet she's perplexed. Like, what in the world is he talking about? She says, but sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket. Which, by the way, is why Jesus asked her for a drink of water. He had no way to get water out of the well, but she did. She said, and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? This well has been around for hundreds of years. How can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed? In other words, this is one of the best wells around. Been here for hundreds of years. The water's pure. It's a deep well. It's a well to be coveted and a well to be fought over, as often happened in biblical times. And this woman is aware of all that, saying, I don't know how you could do any better than the water in this well. Jesus replied, anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again. But those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh, bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. Living water, spiritual water that quenches a thirst that you and I have in our soul. Our soul craves the quenching of the spiritual thirst that is there, and Jesus alone is able to quench that thirst. Jesus alone is able to satisfy the craving of our soul. And I say that for the benefit of those who perhaps are here and you're not so sure who you think Jesus is and not so sure who you want him to be in your life. But I say that also for the benefit of those who've already said yes to Jesus and invited him into your life. Why? Why, oh why, do we go looking for things, other things, to satisfy the thirst and the hunger of our soul when only Jesus can satisfy that thirst and that hunger? Jesus said, that's the kind of water I'm offering, a fresh bubbling spring that within you will spring up and give to you eternal life. Now she's thinking, that sounds pretty good. Please, sir, the woman said, give me this water. I'll take some of that. Give me a couple gallons. Then I'll never be thirsty again, and I won't have to come here to get water. So she's still thinking it's physical water, and that what Jesus is going to give her is going to replace her need to do what everybody else has to do, go to the well on a regular basis. So Jesus realizes, okay, she's not tracking. She doesn't realize I'm talking about something spiritual here, so I'm going to change the conversation. He says to her, go get your husband. And she says, I don't have a husband. Jesus said, you're right, you don't have a husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and you aren't even married to the man you're living with now. You certainly spoke the truth. And her eyes got this big, and there was this protracted, awkward silence, this pregnant pause in the conversation. And then she blurted out, sir, you must be a prophet. Because she realized this man she was talking to, this person that she's just met, in the middle of the day when she was trying to avoid meeting people she knew, much less people she didn't know, this person seems to know her better than any stranger ought to. Now they have a conversation that ensues, and part of that conversation is recorded for us, and we're going to look at that in a subsequent week. But at the end of that conversation, she has realized that he's more than a prophet. She's realized there's something profound going on here. And in her enthusiasm, it tells us in the verse that we're going to look at, she left her water jar beside the well. She just jumped up and ran back to the village, telling everyone. Remember, she's trying to avoid people. Now she's running to find all the people she can find. She's telling everyone, come and see a man, watch this, who told me everything I ever did. Now, I don't know how long their conversation was, but I'm sure Jesus did not tell her everything she ever did, right? Because it's still the same day, right? And that would take months and months, right? But why does she say that about him? Because she feels like in her conversation with him that he knew so many things about her, the ones that are recorded for us and perhaps many others, that surely if he knows those things about her, he must know everything else there is to know about her. And the idea that someone would know her that well was not a negative thing. It was a positive thing. And it solicited an enthusiastic response, so much so that she couldn't contain herself. And she felt like, if this person who knows me this well makes me feel like this, if this conversation has led me to the place that I'm at currently, I can't keep this to myself. I need to share this with my fellow villagers, the other people that are in the town where I live. And by this time, she's already got the idea that this person may be, in fact, the Messiah. That's why she says, could he possibly be the Messiah? It's starting to dawn on her, and she's communicating that to the people in her town. Now, we're going to stop there in our consideration of John chapter 4, but I want us just to take a moment and think about what transpired for her. She was at a place where, like a lot of us, she was trying to kind of hide out from people. She didn't want anything to do with people she knew. She didn't want to meet anybody that she didn't know. She didn't want any interaction. She just wanted to go get some water and go home. And she runs into someone who knows her so well and knows things about her that he couldn't possibly know unless perhaps he is the Messiah, that he would be at least a prophet. And she's soon to discover that he's actually God in human form, that she realizes that this person that she's had this encounter with knows her better than anybody else that she's ever had a relationship with in her life. Think about the person that apart from God, think about the person that knows you best. What do they know about you? And why is that a good thing? For some of you, it's your spouse. It's the person you're married to. They know you best. For some of you, it may be an adult child or your parent. It might be a best friend. I got a text today from a best friend, one of my best friends that lives out of town, and he just was thinking about me, and he sent me a silly little text, and I sent him one back real quick. And it was interesting because I immediately felt comfortable, or how do I describe it? I felt at home in that relationship. It's like, here's a man that I've known for decades who knows me very well. He knows my positive traits. He knows my shortcomings and faults. And he not only loves me, but he knows me and still likes me. And actually the point of the text was, and he wants to be with me. He says, hey, I wish I was there with you guys spending some time. And I said the same back. When someone knows us really well, it fosters this sort of intimacy and this connection, and it satisfies something relationally down deep inside of us that's so wonderful it's beyond description. It's hard to put to words how meaningful and significant that is, and we're built for it. Now, listen, and let me in particular address the guys. I'm a guy, I was thinking about this morning, and I tend to be a loner in a lot of ways, as a lot of men do. I'm not shy. I'm able to, publicly and personally interact with people fine, but I tend to be a loner. But I also know this, that I wasn't built to be a loner, that God did not design me that way, that there's something about the fallen condition of the human race and how that affects me and how that plays out in my life that causes me to tend that way, as a lot of men do. But God did not wire us for that. He wired us for relationship and for intimacy and for community and for connections with people where people actually know us and where we know them. And that knowledge, that personal intimacy, actually produces this wonderful sense of community and relationship where God's purposes can play out in all of our lives. And what I'm talking about is, again, it's transcendent. It's beyond our ability to grasp, and yet somehow down inside we instinctively know it's what we're built for and what we long for. Let's take another look at it from a different point in God's Word. Psalm 139. Fascinating chapter, fascinating psalm, something worth reading in its entirety, perhaps later today. But right now, let's take a look at the first few verses. It says, "O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me." We can just stop right there and take a moment. Let it sink in. God knows everything about you. He knows what you were thinking about just a moment ago when you weren't paying attention to what I said. He knows, for some of you who were paying attention to what I said, he knows that you were thinking, all right, Craig, I got it. You've said it 3 times now. Move on. He knew you were thinking that. And I'm going to ask you to raise your hand. No, I'm not going to ask you to do that. He knows the longings of your heart. He knows the things that you do that don't get appreciated. He knows the qualities that you have that are misunderstood, that are actually part of how he made you. And they're wonderful things, but often people react in a negative way. He knows the dreams that you have that have not yet been fulfilled. He knows the expectations you have in some relationships you're currently in, and those expectations are going unmet. And even the person you're in relationship with doesn't know that those expectations are going unmet, but he does. "Oh Lord, you've examined my heart and know everything about me." You know that time when I was 12, and I was such an idiot that day. You know what happened when I was 23, and I went to that event, and that person did what they did, and I reacted like I did. You know the decision I made, to follow you. You know, Lord, the choice that I made at that point when I made it and what has transpired. And you know, Lord, how I felt about that after I made that decision. I mean, we could be here for days exploring what this means, that God has examined our hearts and knows everything about us. Now, the writer goes on to unpack this a little bit. Says, you know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel, whether it's to Longview, Mexico, or was it Montana? See, I was paying attention. You know you see me when I travel, and when I rest at home, you know everything I do. What'd you do already today? Think about what you did. Think about what you did yesterday. Think about what you plan to do this afternoon. Whatever it is, he knows everything about it. Then the writer goes in verse 4 a step further. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord. What? When you're in a relationship with somebody, you know how you can kind of anticipate what they're going to say? It's like, yeah, I knew you'd say that. Because they're predictable, there's sort of a pattern there. But God's knowledge of what we're going to say goes way beyond that. No matter how much we try to second guess that system, it's like, okay, Lord, you think you know what I'm going to say, but you're probably thinking that because you think I'm going to say this because I typically say that, so I'm just going to say this instead, and you try to outsmart the system, and then he says, I knew you were going to say that. Like you can't win that game because he knows everything we're going to say even before we say it. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. I almost skipped this. In fact, I was going to stop at verse 4, but I wanted to include this verse and the next one. But this verse, I just love it. It's just like my wife has this thing. Some of you have kids, know this about her. When she is meeting a kid or welcoming a kid that she knows, just part of how she conducts herself in children's ministry, she has a thing of kissing them on the head. She just loves to show them affection, and most kids don't mind getting kissed on the head, and just a little thing that she does. And there's something about that just for me just kind of captures a wonderful sense of affection and intimacy without being awkward or too invasive. God, I just imagine God just kissing us on the head and just putting his hand right there and just like, hey, I got you. I got you. You go before me and you follow me, you place your hand of blessing on my head. And then he says this, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. See, what we're talking about right now, even the writer, even the psalmist said, I just can't comprehend. Just can't comprehend. Then he goes on quite a few more verses, and then in verse 17 he says this. He says, how precious are your thoughts about me, O God? They cannot be numbered. So how many thoughts does God think about you? What is he thinking about you right now? Here's what the psalmist says in verse 18. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. How many grains of sand are there in the world? You say, well, God doesn't think that many thoughts about me. Well, how is that even possible? How does he have the mental capacity to think that many thoughts about me times, let me see, 7 billion people in the world, and he's thinking all those thoughts simultaneously? Yeah, he's a big God. He's the greatest of all time. He can think that many thoughts about you and think that many thoughts about me and think that many thoughts about all the people on the planet and not get confused about who he's thinking about. I can't even keep my grandkids' names straight sometimes. I'll call one by the name of the other, and same thing happened. Any parent knows what I'm talking about. It's like, hey, Fred, no, Charles, what's your name? Do what I told you to do. You can't keep it straight sometimes, and God keeps it all perfectly straight. We can't even count how many thoughts he has about us. How well does he know us? Really, really, really well. Now, I think for some of us, the idea that God would know us that well, that he'd be that up close and personal, like in our space, like right there in our little private bubble, because he has to be right to know me that well. That God's, see, we so routinely will say, well, God is not only with us, but he lives in us by his Spirit, which is true. The Bible says that for Anybody who's become a Christ follower, that the Spirit of God comes to live within us. Jesus is in our hearts. He lives within us by His Spirit. We say that as if somehow that's not an invasion of our personal space. But when we think about God just being like right up in our face, right? Like right up here personal. For some of us, sometimes that's a little unnerving. Let me illustrate what I'm talking about. What is it that you're uncomfortable with God knowing about you? Raise your hand if you'd like to share with the rest of us. But all of us probably thought of something, right? It's like, I mean, I know He knows that, but it's just like, I don't want to think about that. It's like, that's awkward. It's like, He knows that about me? Yeah, He knows more than that. He knows everything there is to know about you. And that's a good thing. See, it's a great thing to have someone who knows me so well. Like I was saying about my friend, it's just great to have people in your life that know you and still love you, who know you and still like you, who know you and still want to be with you, who know all your strengths and positive qualities. That's great. Those are all the things we try to keep in that image that we let other people see. And they still know all those negative things and shortcomings that we try to hide from everybody, and they still love us and still like us and still want to be with us. And in the ultimate sense, that's God Himself. But here's the connection I want you to make. He knows me so well because He loves me. See, when you care about someone, you make it a point to find out about them. To the degree that I care about someone, I'll make an effort to know them. Now, I said earlier that I'm in a process of discovery when it comes to my own wife. Married 44 years, still would probably fail a test, depending on what was on that test, as to how well I know my wife. There are things I just don't know about her. I'm sorry to have to admit that, but I don't. There are other things I know very well about her, but I don't know everything about her. And so I'm in a process of discovery as she is with me. Now, who knows me in this world better than anybody? She does. The only person who knows me any better than her is the Lord Himself. She knows me, but I know her well, and to the degree that I know her, it's because I care about her. I've made it a point to pay attention. Some of the time. A little more so recently. Okay, I had some years there where I didn't pay attention at all. All right, great, but we got through those years. You know what I'm saying? So you know somebody cares about you when they pay attention and make it a point to know about you. It's like, oh, you got me that thing that how did you even know that I love that? How did you even know that was my favorite color? How did you even know that was my favorite flower? How did you even know this is my favorite restaurant? How did you even know that this is my favorite thing to do in my spare time? How did you know that? Because I was paying attention. How does God demonstrate His great love and care for us? By paying attention to the details. That's why He says the hairs of your head are numbered. That's why He says the tears you shed, I've saved up in a bottle. How big a bottle is that? For some of us, it's a case of bottles, perhaps. But the idea that He would know every tear that ever came out of my eyes and every occasion in which it was shed and why it was being shed and every thought and feeling I had when it was being shed, He knows all those things about me, and He knows those things about you. See, the more I dive into this, the more compelled I am to reach out and embrace a relationship with Him. And here's why. Because the one who knows me best loves me most. He knows me best. When it comes to knowing me, He is the greatest of all time. He's the God who made me. He's the God who's watched me. He's the God who's walked with me. He's the God who lives inside of me. He's the God whose thoughts about me are more numerous than the grains of sand in the world today. His commitment to me and His interest in me and His desire for a relationship with me are unfathomable. They're indescribable. They're transcendent beyond my puny human finite ability to grasp. He is a God who's pursued me and who has died for me and who loves me and who wants to help me have the relationship with Him that I'm designed for and the relationship with you that I'm designed for. He's the God who's gone to great lengths to make it possible for me to live a full life and a purposeful life and a meaningful life. And I love him for it because even though he knows me like he does, he still likes me, he still loves me, and he still wants to be with me. And he never gets tired of being with me. You ever get tired of being with somebody? Come on. Am I the only one being honest in the room here today? Like, aren't you have some friends come over, aren't you glad sometimes when they leave? Come on, I've left some of your houses and I know you threw a party and high-fived each other when I walked out the door. Like, man, I thought he'd never leave. Come on. Even your own family members, it's like, you love it when they come, but you also enjoy it when they leave. It's just like, there's a thing, you know what I'm saying? God never gets that way. He never gets tired of you. You get tired of you sometimes, but he never gets tired of you. He's a wonderful God. And he knows us surprisingly well. And he knows us because he loves us and he cares about us. You say, well, you haven't said much about like my sin and all my faults and failings. Yeah, he knows all about all of that. And you will see that and deal with that in your life in a constructive, healthy, balanced way when you wrap your heart and mind around the fact that he knows all of those things about you. There's nothing you've ever done or said, no failing of yours that's ever escaped his scrutiny, and he still loves you, still likes you, still wants to be in relationship with you. And when you begin to realize that, you'll look at sin in your life and say, man, oh man, that has no part in my life in the light of the God with whom I have such a wonderful relationship, the God who knows me so well. It's like, why would I allow that to be a part of this life that he's allowing me and blessing me with, allowing me to have? So I trust the Holy Spirit to speak to you about those things that need to be adjusted and changed, things that need to be repented of. But before you go there, go here. Know the God who knows you and loves you, likes you, and wants to be with you. Let's pray. Father,